Finally, let's talk about custom shortcodes. Now, these are really cool. I absolutely love custom shortcodes. First of all, let's talk about how you create a new custom shortcode. And again, it's one of those things that's kind of hard to explain, so I'll just show you. Here in the back end of WordPress, under Memberium, I can go to custom shortcodes, and I'll just pop that open in a new tab. And I'll say, let's go ahead and add a new shortcode. And I'll call this shortcode maybe Smart or something. You can call it whatever you want, and I'll just go ahead and publish it. Now, you'll see when you publish it, it gives you what the shortcode is. So it says memc smart. Now, I've just basically created my own shortcode. You know it's custom because it's memc. All of our other shortcodes are memb underscore whatever. It's memc underscore if it's a custom shortcode. Now, I'm going to take this custom shortcode here, and I'm going to go over and put it on a test page. So I'm just going to add a new page. I'm going to call it test, and I'm going to put the shortcode there. And right now, this shortcode actually isn't going to do anything because there's nothing here. It's not saying to do anything. So I'll just go ahead and update the page, and I'll go over to my test browser, and I'll go to that test page. So it's only got the title of the page, which is test, and there's nothing actually in the body. Now, I could go and I could add content into the shortcode. So I could say content goes here and update it. And since the page is pulling from the shortcode, when I update here, it's going to run that shortcode and find that output. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, okay, whatever, big deal. Let's talk about what makes this magical, though. Let's talk about passing this shortcode some custom parameters or attributes. So here I've got my custom shortcode, and I can actually come down here and I can just make up attributes. So ATTS is attributes, colon, and I can say color. And what it's saying is whatever they define as the color, go ahead and put right here. So I'm going to just copy that, and I'm going to also do maybe size. So I'll say color, and I'll say size, and this is just for display to kind of see it. So I'll change this to size. So again, I'm just making these up on the fly, and I'm saying within my custom shortcode, I want to merge in whatever they define as the color here, and whatever they define as the size right there. So I'll go ahead and update that. And you'll see if I check out my test page, there won't be anything in those values, right? So I just have color and size. And you know what, I should probably bump those down a line. So I'll come in here and I'll just put a little quick line break between some of this stuff just for readability for us, right? So we'll preview that real quick. So here's my color and here's my size. Now, what I can now do is I can say, okay, go to the page itself so this is the custom shortcode where I'm designing the shortcode. Here's the page where I'm actually using the shortcode. And now I can add those as attributes. So I can say color equals red, size equals large, and I can update that, and it will feed those values into the shortcode. So if I go look at my test page, now I've got color red, size large. So still pretty simple, but what you could do, and there's cases to do this, but I'll just kind of show you, is you could do this multiple times, like blue and small, and I'll update that, and when we come over, we should see another set. And again, I forgot to put a line break, so I'll just come in and put one real quick for our sanity, right? So I'll hit update and come back and refresh that. So you can see here it's saying color red, size large. Here it's saying color blue, size small. Now, I'll show you an advanced use of this, but it'll give you an idea of why this is so cool. So we have an article that Dave wrote called How to Ghost an Image Block Based on Visitor Access. And what that basically means is it's showing somebody that, hey, this is available to you, and that's not based on maybe some tags you have. So here's an example project where these ones are available, the ones in full color, and the ones not in full color, the ones that are grayed out, are not available. And the way you can do that with ease is you use a custom shortcode. So if you were to make a single block, it would be all this HTML, and that would create the colored version. And then if you wanted the ghosted version, you would use slightly different HTML. And if you look at this example on a page where maybe you have 6 or 9 or 12 of those, that's going to be a lot of HTML and a lot of annoyance, especially if you want to go change all the blocks. You're going to have to change every instance of that colored or grayed out block. But using the magic of these shortcodes, you can make a conditional statement. For example, mem can view post, meaning if they have access to this page, show them the colored block. And if they don't have access to that page, show them the ghosted block. And that, if you put the HTML inside, here's the can view post, here's the colored block, here's the else can view post, here's the ghosted block. It's a lot of stuff, right? So I'm going to keep going down, and this is where the custom shortcodes come into play. So we'll actually just do this exercise real quick. So we'll create a shortcode called memc menu block. So I'll come back into my custom shortcodes, and I'll say, let's go ahead and add a new custom shortcode. And I'm just going to call it menu block. And I'll go ahead and publish that. And you can see it's called memc menu block. And if we bounce back over to the article, here's this big block of stuff that says, okay, go ahead and put that in as that custom shortcode. So I'm just going to grab the whole thing, and I'll come over and add that as my custom shortcode content. So I'll click on the custom shortcode, I'll paste that in, and I'll just go ahead and update it. And it looks like I accidentally copied the line numbers off the side, so I'll just delete those real quick. So I want something that looks like this. It's just full of magic, right? And I'll just go ahead and update that. Now, just creating a custom shortcode doesn't really do anything yet. It's putting the shortcode on a page that will do something, right? So let's go back over to that article, and you can see it's talking about the different parameters or attributes of the shortcode. So to actually publish this to a page, I would grab this whole thing. I'll just triple click and copy. Come over to my test page and say, okay, instead of those, let's use this custom shortcode. So the custom shortcode saying use memc custom course block, and basically say if they have access to this post, and we'll use this description with this image, then give them a link to the page. And if they don't have access to it, it will give them the ghosted block. So I'll just go ahead and copy this. I'm not even sure if I have that post ID as a page, so maybe we'll go look at a couple page IDs. But again, I can just repeat the shortcode a few times, hit update, and when I go to my page, I should see a couple blocks based on that access. Oh, and it looks like I made a little mistake here, but this is good to know. So here it says memc course block. Remember, I actually called mine menu block. So if I come back over here, and I wanted to change what this says, if you don't see the slug as an option on the page, go up to your screen options and turn on the slug. You can just close that. And then go down and change it. So slug was menu block. I want it to be course block and update. So now you can see memc course block, and I'll go ahead and refresh there. And so you can see now it's creating these blocks, and it's just feeding in, the button that goes to a page. It's feeding in an image URL, which I didn't put an image in, but if there was one, it would show there. And it's feeding in the message. So what's helpful here is if I had a ton of these, right? If I go to my page and I just add one more, just so there's 4, like a nice round number here. And in fact, I could probably change my page to be full width and do a few more, but I'll just update that. If I go look at this now, you should see it's basically creating a line of blocks, right? And I could have even more than that. I could copy this and do it multiple times. So now I should have, I guess, 8 or so. So I'll just refresh that. So you can see it's dynamically just adding blocks here. And now if I were to go in and actually change these and say, okay, well, let's have different descriptions. So the first block should be learn how to craft a clear message. The second block should be, selling your business maybe. And I would just need a link to an actual image on the site. So this is obviously just a fake link to an image that's not there, doesn't exist. And I would want the page URL to go to an actual page on my site. And then if they don't have access to it, meaning if it's ghosted, I would want the sale URL to go to a page that sells that particular course. So I won't go into populating all of that stuff, but that gives you an idea of how powerful a custom shortcode can be. Since all the HTML is right here, I can change anything I want about these things. So I could change, for example, the width. I could change the amount of grayscale. I could change some of the margins or the height. I could maybe change the color of the border. And I would only change it once, but because the page is calling that shortcode, in this case, however many times, 8 times, by changing it one time in the custom shortcode, it would change in every single instance that the shortcode is called. They can get even funkier than that, but basically you're seeing that we're feeding the values in. So here's the shortcode where it's saying, what's the post ID, for example? And then we're feeding that value in back here to say, if they have access to, and this is a shortcode, can view post, which post ID, it dynamically feeds it in. It feeds in the page URL, and this is the full color one. It feeds in the image. Down here in the grayscale one, it feeds in the image again, but there's a filter on here to make the image gray. It still has the description, so it feeds in the description, but the link goes to the sales URL. You can do a lot with custom shortcodes, but I think this is a really cool use case for them. Now, you can also use custom shortcodes within custom shortcodes, and it can get pretty wild, but I just wanted to give you the basic concepts of how to create one and how to set some attributes for it, and then show you a pretty cool use case. And again, there's an article on our site. If you just search, for example, for the word ghosting, you'll find that article. and you could change the style for your site, but then you can have consistent, replicated, for example, in that case, blocks of HTML. And if you ever want to change all of them at once, you just go change the shortcode. So pretty cool stuff.